Hello. Thank you for joining us for this interview of our parishioners, Lisa and Bob Marinack, who are examples to so many on how to live a life of stewardship. We will witness their ability to be grateful for God's gifts, how they nurture their life through prayer and provide compassionate service to all, while generously sharing their time, their talents, and their treasures with our parish and the surrounding communities. They truly exemplify our call to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Enjoy. That's for sure. Well, why don't we get started? We'll read a few questions and then you can just visit with us and feel like we're just sitting on the couch.
Okay.
Okay.
And a little louder if you can.
All right, well, thank you for having us and taking the time to share your story about being a missionary disciple and living a life of service. Your life is a beautiful example of how embracing stewardship as a way of life impacts a family, parish, community, and the world in life-giving ways. So, for the first question we have, how long have you been a member of St. Mary's?
Oh man, since we moved here.
1967.
67. Were you married in a different parish?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were married in Madison.
Is
He
that
was,
where
he
you
was
grew
going
up?
to school,
Okay.
and I was working in the restaurant,
Okay.
and I had to feed him, and I'm still feeding him.
Well, that was a good pairing.
Yeah,
You
it
were the
was.
cook.
Yeah, it was a blessing.
So, married in 1967, and tell us about your 7 children.
No, we were
No.
married in 57.
Oh, 57. I'm
57.
sorry. Married in 1957. So tell us about your children.
About our children, we had 7 children. I had 5 boys and 3 girls. And all of them turned out to be just so special to us because they got involved in a lot of things with us, like especially Father Carr.
Oh, yeah.
He used to have like nights where kids could go when they had nowhere to go, and he had it for seniors. He has special, and he had it for the younger ones. And I used to, we chaperoned. So I used to take our kids there, and that's how they got now. And they've been involved in so much too.
Wonderful.
And they're always there to help somebody. And if you don't have the money, we'll still find a way to help you.
You always did. That's certainly a description of you, Lisa and Bob, both.
Yeah, we both worked for Father Carr I was with him for 32 years. And at the same time, I was working at the hospital. I was working, I'd go to work, and then during the week, and then on Saturdays, I would go down to see if and I knew the minute I walked in the door, he's going to say, would you go over to that clinic and pick this up, and then on your way back, stop there, they got some supplies too.
Sure.
You could not go there without
Having a job.
having a job.
Yeah. What other type of things did you do for Father Carr at the Place to Be, Lisa?
Oh, well, we did that. We did that. I helped him with his food pantry. I worked at the clinic, that was something that I loved. I feel bad that I had to retire because I just couldn't do it anymore. The people that you meet are so, they're sick, but yet they are elderly a lot. They have no one to talk to, and all they really needed was to, Father Carr always said, when you're not busy, sit down and talk to them.
Yeah. So
And
good.
that's all some of them really needed. You got to know them so good.
Did you work at Father Carr's too, Bob?
Yeah.
What type of work did you do?
I worked in the pantry
Oh, yeah.
most of the time, and a little bit of maintenance. And,
Put a roof on help put a roof on the
yeah.
main building.
I bet they were
Inside.
always happy to see the two of you coming.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he always had
Fix
something.
their old grocery carts and
Yes. Whatever was needed, probably.
Mhm. And our children were helpers too. When they got older, they would help Father Carr too.
It's a great teaching service work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, the kids were a part of it.
So, what were your hopes and dreams as a young married couple?
Well, I
back in
didn't dream I'd have
1957?
all these kids. But it was a blessing. I mean, it was a challenge, and my hopes and dreams is that they all would. Of course, some don't go to church, and I still pray that some go to return. But it's getting better. I can see it too, and this is what I always hope for, and that they'll always be there for people and never judge. Never judge a person, because you don't know what they've been through. And so that's my hopes and dreams for my kids.
That's a beautiful legacy, to not judge,
Yep,
to be caring.
yep, and they're very caring.
So over the years, Bob and Lisa, what type of ministries do you remember participating in? I know you mentioned family life, but were you in education when your kids were small? Did you you transition as your family did through?
I taught catechism for probably a couple years. And my kids, you know, they learned all about the rosary and all about saints and all about, you know, we tried to teach them part of what the Bible is and what it means to be a Christian.
Yes. And I'm sure that was going on in your home as well.
It was, yes.
And then as they became teenagers, what type of service work did you do through St. Mary's? Or is that when you transitioned to?
At St. Mary's? Well, what we did, we went to Family Life, and we went and we tried to make every holiday special for them. And we also had made their Christmas special. And if there was any child sick or something, we always tried to help that child, that family, with food so they wouldn't have to.
Mom, remember when we were young though, what did you do before you did Father Connors? We talked about it the other day with Brother Regis.
The Salvatorian missions.
Oh, tell us about that. I'm not familiar with
That's,
your work with him.
Oh, that was when, what was his name?
Brother Regis.
Brother Regis. You heard of Brother Regis?
Yes.
There was 5 of us women. We go down there, you know, and it was we go down there at night when you knew your kids were, you know, Dolores Peterson.
Yes.
She used to drive. And there we had 2 cars, and we go down to Brother Regis's, and that was in New Holstein.
Quite a drive.
Yeah, it was, but we did it, and we go down, and it was kind of a fun thing because he was such a, oh my gosh, he helped so many people, and he had, we had to take all these pills and put in big jars, big gallon jars. We had to take them out because he shipped them. And then if it was clothes, we had to shove the clothes in the barrel and crawl in the barrels to make sure it was tight because his shipping was so expensive.
Where was he shipping his items to?
Overseas, Kenya and anywhere they needed it over there. And he did that for.
Your service work reached far corners of the earth, Lisa.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So I know you spoke about your mother and the sacrifices that she taught you to make. Can you kind of expound on that? As a child, were you taught to reach out to others, and it just continued to grow through your faith?
Yes. My mother, she raised 10 children. And 9, I'm the only one left out of 10 children. I just lost my sister about a month and a half.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, yes, she was, very about, and rosary every night. After we got done eating supper, we would say the rosary.
Did you grow up in a similar family, Bob?
Just about exactly, yeah. We did the same thing. And we used to have the kids coming over. And we got invited in, but I didn't have too many takers.
Of course, they wouldn't have been able to understand it because my folks never learned English. My father could speak a little English, but my mother couldn't.
What was your maiden name, Lisa?
My maiden name was Feist.
And that's German?
That's German.
German. So you prayed the rosary in German?
In German.
Wow.
Interesting.
And I can't remember any much in German except sometimes words I shouldn't know. You know.
So how has the rosary impacted your lives?
Oh, I feel like that's, for me right now, I need it. and I feel so comfortable. I have a nephew who is in Albuquerque, and he's retired, and he visits all the missions. He's been all over the world. So this is the rosary that was blessed on Jesus'
Oh,
tomb.
that's a beautiful gift.
It's a gift that I cherish.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
You know, it's just beautiful. And I can't thank him enough for giving me that, because, and this is what we pray every night.
What are you most grateful for?
My husband and my family, and my faith that my mother gave me, that I could get through raising the children and still trying to do the best for others.
What would your advice be to families now that are going through the challenges of the pandemic, Lisa?
Oh, I think that they should realize that this is something we can't let it get us down. We have to go and continue, and we have to have more faith that the Lord He's not doing this to punish us. He's doing this, I don't know why, but I think He's doing this to show us that this is what you're here for. You're here for to help others, to listen to people, to do what you can do for them. If they're homeless, help them find a shelter or something, you know. But this is what I think He's trying people to realize, you know, that I'm here for you, but you have to do something for yourself too.
How has having faith in Jesus, practicing your Catholic faith, and sharing your time, talent, and treasures in so many wonderful ways impacted your life in the good times as well as the challenging times?
Oh, I think it's made me a better person. It's made me realize that you're not alone. There's always someone that has a problem that's bigger than yours. So just think how lucky you are. Because I've just been blessed.
How about you, Bob?
About the same thing, I guess, that we've been blessed with a bunch of kids, but they've all been good.
All got good jobs.
They're all relatively healthy, and they help us out a lot.
And they do.
Girls especially now have really been, with Lisa having the problems she has, they've been here for her all the time. So
See, they take turns. My children are just a blessing. Yeah, and you know what? You're doing a great job. I've noticed how this parish has blossomed. I mean, you know, it's never been so close, you know. I mean, I had that little girl for her first communion, you know. I've never felt...
Bread partner.
Yeah, I was so close to a child, you know. She was just, in fact, I got to take her a bag of apples too. There was this lady, she was a young mother, and she was pregnant. And she was one of the migrant workers. But anyway, it was either her boyfriend or her husband had left her, and she, you know, all alone. And so we took her some food, and the poor lady she had a bed with a spring, but she had no mattress. And Edith Christensen had a key to the Salvation Army. So here we are. She said, oh, there's one at the Salvation Army. I was just there the other day, and I know there's one. 10 o'clock at night, we're sneaking into the Salvation Army and bringing that mattress back for that girl so she'd have a mattress to sleep on. And then about 3 nights later, she calls on the phone and she says, I think I'm having labor pains. And here it is about what, midnight, something like that. So I called Edith Christensen and I said, Edith, I think we have to take this gal to the hospital. So we took her to the hospital. She was there, and we got there, and of course, here it is. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. And I said, well, you call us and we'll come and take you home, you know. Just let us know, because we want to make sure you're okay. She didn't call, so we called and wanted to know. Oh, she had to spend the night. So she stayed the night, and then we got her home the next day and fixed her bed for her. And,
You're just truly an inspiration, both of you.
Not really. This is what we're here for. This is what God expects us. I mean, I'm trying to work my way to heaven.
I think you've got a great path.
Yeah,
created.
but I get days when I think, boy, you're just not listening. I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know.
I think you've helped many other people on their way to heaven too, Lisa.
Yeah. I know Father Carr and all those priests and the nuns and the nuns at the shelter are wonderful. We have 3 nuns. Sister Angelica, who she talks but you can't understand a word she says because she talks and then she laughs and then she talks again, you know. But she's a saint.
Good.
And then we have Sister Peggy, who's new to us, and then we have Sister Grace, Sister Grace. They're just wonderful.
Wonderful. I bet they were happy to meet you too as well.
Yeah, we take a lot to them.
Do you have any other final words that we didn't ask you about that you want to share with us, you or Bob?
Well, just continue what you're doing because you're doing such a good job. I'm amazed how our parish, you know, we used to be so segregated, you know, so and so. Now it seems like you go and people are saying good morning or doing something like that, or, you know, making you feel really welcome. You know, like when I didn't go to church there, you know, I can't go to church very often. But I said I was so surprised when I went that one morning. We went to church and I walked in and there's those 3 men that sit in the back all the time. They're waving their hand at me, you know, and I thought, isn't that a nice welcome?
You're always, everyone's always so happy to see both of you.
Yeah. I mean, to be, you know, an old lady who's old waving their hand, and I just shook my hand at them. I was so proud of them.
Where did the two of you meet? Did you meet in childhood or high school? Or?
No, my husband was going to school in Madison.
Right. Oh, and you were serving.
I'm from North Dakota, so my brother lived here and so I decided I was going to come and visit him, and then I decided I was going to stay. You know, I was old enough that I could stay. So I started at a dime store, and that was the most boring job I ever had. I didn't last there very long. And so then I decided, well, I wanted to be where people were. So I started working in this one restaurant called Dolly's, and it was brought in all these college kids, you know. We got to know them, you know, and I met him, you know, and we used to stop. I'd get off work about 2 o'clock, and there's a little bar down the street, and we'd all gather there and have a few beers, you know, and we just started going together, and we were married, and he was going to school at the time, so I was still feeding him in the restaurant, and I'm still feeding him.
That's good. What were you studying, Bob?
Oh, I started out in mechanical engineering, and then I switched to meteorology, and I got 102 credits, but I never ended up getting a degree, so, but it came close.
Yeah. That's because the kids start coming and he had to quit school.
You have a degree in life, in marriage, and so much more.
Yeah, we were blessed with more than what a degree could ever give you.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
Especially my children, Tornado Laura and all the rest of them. She does all my cleaning. She does all my outside flowers, takes care of all that and everything.
And she does all of the cleaning and flowers at St. Mary's.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
So your legacy continues on through your kids and through other people you've impacted.
Well, I have she's an occupational therapist, Susan's a nurse, and Cindy's an x-ray tech. So they're all in the medical field, and my boys will do anything to help people, you know. If you're in trouble, they're there, you know.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed our time together.
Well, I did too. I'm glad you came. First, I was a little leery. I thought, oh, geez, I don't know, you know. Don't ever repeat the Salvation Army story, because it's not. Well, I know Edith is gone, but it's not like too late for me to go to jail, you know, just for a lousy little mattress, you know. But can you imagine sleeping on a box spring with a blanket?
No.
No, you know, and these.
That was a service project. That's what we'll call that.
Yeah, yeah, but don't say where it was. That's, I know we weren't stealing because she had a key.
Yes.
And she, you know, she said she let them know the next day. I don't know if she ever did, but I didn't tell anybody.
It's wonderful.
Well, that's what it was there for, right? You
Yeah.
just got it to the right place.
Right, yeah. No, she had nothing, and they had left her here all by herself. And she had a child too, you know. So she finally got to go back home. She was at a little house in Winneconne.
I wonder where she is now,
I don't know.
or her child.
Yeah, you do wonder, don't you? Yeah. You wish you would have kept in contact. She couldn't speak very good English, though, you know.
Your
That's
mother
it.
looks pretty young on there, right?
Pardon?
Your mother looks pretty young on
Yes, she does.
Well, we had more fun. I could tell you stories, but I'm not going to. We really had
This
a lot
is
of
in the
fun.
church lobby, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where they say sometimes you can see the face of Jesus in the poor?
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like you've experienced that
I have.
throughout your life?
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that, or?
Well, you know, the thing I've learned, I worked at the clinic for Father Carr. That's where I went after first I started out there, and then I ended up working at the clinic. And the patients there, you could see that some of them were really suffering, you know, and there was nobody. And Father Carr said to me, he said, you sit down, talk to them, make them feel at home. We had a woman that would come in. She was the hardest lady to get to know, and she was, I think she was just lonely, really. But she was a pistol. I mean, she was always mad, always, not, you know. And I got to know her, and I got to wait for her to come, because she. And then one day she walked in, and she said to me, "I have something for you." She said, "I want you to take these." She said, "I got $100 from my dad, and I wanted to buy something for." That was at Christmas. And she said, "Here." She said, "I brought all these toys for you to give out for Christmas," and we had big Christmas parties. That's the kind of people that other people wouldn't have anything to do with her because of her disposition, but I don't blame her for being like that. She'd call a cab. The cab would make her wait about an hour just for spite, because of the way she was mean, you know. But, you know, it's just her way. But that's what I mean. Just listen to people, and be there for her. My sister had a Down syndrome sister, and my mother died, and my father remarried, and his wife says we don't want her, so they put her in a home in Jamestown, which is where you go if you have problems. But she didn't know, you know, and she would come home in the winter, and her knees were raw from scrubbing on cement floors. So my mother said, "We're not taking her back. I don't care what you do to me, but we're not. She's staying here with us." And then she stayed with us. But when my mother died, when I heard that, Christine said that, you know, we're putting her back in an asylum. A sane asylum. And then I said, "Oh no, they're not going to do that to her." So my husband, we went to, I think it was Allegheny County, and he talked to someone there, and we were able to find someone who worked that I could bring her back. So I went to North Dakota, and I said to my dad, my dad said, "You're not taking her." I said, "I'm taking her." The court said I could be her guardian, because Christine doesn't want her. "And how often do you come to see her?" "About once every 6 months." I said, "No, I'm taking her home. She's living with me." And she did. I brought her home here. and she stayed with me, and I have her buried at the Allenville Cemetery out here.
How old were you when your sister came? Did you have small children?
I had all my children,
Isn't that amazing?
and they fell in love with her, and they
Oh.
treated her like she was one of us,
Yeah,
didn't she?
she was great.
And oh my gosh, I never realized how smart they are.
How old was she when she passed away?
Oh, she was what, 63?
60s. Yeah, she was in her 60s.
Wow.
She lived with us for a long time.
Oh, that's wonderful. I had never known that.
Yeah, and she was so smart. I had to watch her quite closely because, and my children just accepted her like she was their brother or their sister, you know. She'd have to go toward the road, and I had to watch all the time. And so my husband he thought, oh, I'll fix it. I'm going to put a rope between the tree, and then she won't be able to go for the road. And she'd always go, and then she'd turn around to see if I was looking or not. Sure as heck, she went around the rope.
Oh.
And I said, that settled that real good, you know. I had to think of something else to do, but yeah, we loved her dearly. She was such a blessing. That the Lord sent me her to teach me what is really important in life.
That is an amazing story that you were able to care for your sister, your
bury
family.
her. Yeah, I have her buried, and we decorated her grave for Easter. She'd sit in a swing, and she had a kitty, and I got her a little kitty to put by her grave, you know, an artificial one. She'd sit there and she'd swing with her kitty all day long.
Unbelievable.
But smart.
Such a beautiful story.
And I'd
Lisa.
say, the kids would say, come on, Eddie, you gotta wipe the dishes. She'd say, oh, I not feel good. I not feel good. There was nothing wrong with her. She just didn't want to get up to wipe the dishes. So we let her sit.
Oh, gosh.
She was a blessing to us, wasn't she, Marietta?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she was a blessing, and I was proud of him. He accepted her
I
and he
was
did
gonna
all the
say.
paperwork for us and everything that we could bring her back. And they put her in a home in, where was it?
Um,
Someplace up,
Trying to think of it.
yeah, it was a
It's
home
down
where
by
they had all
Kenosha.
these
I
children,
can't
but they
remember
weren't
the
treated
name.
right. So that's when they shipped her, they brought her from North Dakota, and they brought her and put her in there, and that wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I went and I got her out of there and brought her home with me.
That
And she
was-
lived with me till the day she died.
It's a wonderful lesson in compassion and love.
And that's why my heart goes out to all these, you know, Johnny Christensen
Yes.
and
Tony.
Tony.
Yes.
Tony. They call me Mom all the
Oh,
time.
I bet they do.
Yeah, but Tony, he's such a lovable guy, you know. He's always shaking hands and cuddling and running around the church and
Praise.
all that. But and then I talked to Sue, and I said, Sue, please remember Tony and Johnny at Christmas, because we always get them pajamas. But if I'm not here, I want them to have something, you know, because Tony's in a home now too, and Johnny is just a lost soul.
I'm sure. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he lived in that house, no heat, no water, and the house is just, it should have been torn down years ago. It is such bad shape.
He's not there now, is
He's
he?
not there
Yeah.
now. He's living with a friend. But but still, I want them to be remembered at Christmas. You know, Tony loves toys, stuffed animals. Father Carr had got a whole bunch of stuffed animals. They were about this high, weren't they?
It was bigger. I mean, it was
Bigger. And
Yeah.
I said, can I have one of them for Tony? And he gave me one, and Tony, I guess it was just the best thing that ever happened to him.
But isn't the story that how you met Edith and Ken? Was his name Ken?
Yeah.
And because you were putting a roof on his house, isn't that how you met
Bob,
him?
I had Bob and Bob and who else? One of the other kids.
Tony,
She had
Tony, I think.
Tony. That she had a big hole in her roof, and they didn't have much money at all. I mean, family life. We supported them all the while that they were in family life. But anyway, they had a big hole on her roof. So the boys, she didn't know what to do, and they had no money. So I don't know. I had Tony and Bob. They went over and shingled her roof for her so she wouldn't have all that water coming in, and they burned kerosene, you know, for heat.
I think God gave you eyes to see and strength to help. Because some of the stories you're telling, did you sleep? It sounds like your days must have been 24 hours long.
I slept, but I always thought about, now how am I going to do this, or how am I going to get this fixed? And
Well, thank you for sharing so many inspirational stories.
yeah.